And we're recording in progress. Those are great words, Tom. I love those words. There are some words that work out better than others. For instance, the two words that work out really well together, but not so well separately, are no problem. If you use those things individually, that's a problem. But
Right.
when you put them together, it's like cash flow. That's another one of those that, like, cash flow. I don't know if they're good or bad, but cash flow is always good.
But no, yeah,
So
but no problem together is really a way to go. That
I
just
love
gives you a
those.
chance it gives you a chance to kind of take it and move to the next step.
Yeah, it makes me feel good. It makes everybody kind of warm fuzzy. So we are here with my good friend, and I do mean that most literally, Tom Rocca, who Tom and I have known each other for, I don't know, since Jesus was a baby, probably 25 years, I'm guessing. We have had drinks together in San Diego, New Orleans, New York, Las
Oh,
Vegas, Washington, D.C., Orlando, all over the United States, not overseas yet. And I stress yet. Oh, and forgot Indianapolis. We get together here, and I believe we've gotten together in Atlanta and
absolutely.
Sarasota, come to think of it.
To the point, actually, you said let's set up a little Bobcast, and you said go ahead and get yourself ready and dress appropriately, nicely, and all of a sudden we have the same outfits on. Who knows
Well,
these things?
well, hey, buddy, you could wear nothing at all and still be a hit. Or said that about you. So,
Uh,
so Mr. Rocca and I actually know each other from the call center business. There are probably five people in the world that know call centers better than us. I doubt it that there are that many, but we've been around it for so long, and there's very, very little that we haven't seen. And when you go from call center to contact center, which means omni-channel now, so chat, all that. And Tom has morphed, as have I, into a business um, that has to do with incentives and incentivizing people in call centers and being creative about it, which is why you see the three different functions, I guess we'll call it: consumer
yeah.
franchise, Calusa marketing, and Ruby. They all have to do with being entrepreneurial in the way you incentivize people. Is that a good way to put that, Tom?
It's a good way. And it's funny because, and you mentioned the word morph, which I thought was great because you and I are from the total contact center customer experience, touch base world. What has changed over the time is now all of a sudden we're getting to the point again where customer experience is just not enough. There's got to be more to it where people are doing more tracking. I mean, you and I have always done marketing research way back in the day, especially a company like yourself at Mobius. I mean, you guys are phenomenal in finding out what the customers really need by surveys. In my case, I take that information and I drive it forward into new products and really every way we attach ourselves together. Because I mean, like I said, you find out what is actually being said and what is wanted and what they think, and I'm trying to actually figure out how to deliver some of those things back into the market. May it be a pre-sale or a post-sale, or even just something that they enjoy during their experience at the location. Does that make
It could be
sense?
everything from an incentive to a thank you,
Yeah.
to a contest, to, I mean, you name it. And so where I initially erred in thinking about particularly Calusa marketing was that you were in the Chotsky business, that I could call you up and buy 1,000 key rings,
Right, right.
but Calusa in particular, I know, is way, way more strategic than that.
Yeah, and I think probably the best way on the Calusa side is we're totally a digital marketing firm. We take that front end side all the way from the gift cards. As you go into a grocery store nowadays and you see all the plastic gift cards up on the rack, we're the ones that actually do everything via the mobile. And we actually have people do it more by denomination than worrying about the brand. Once they drive a denomination of a 5, 10, 15, $20 gift card, they actually get to a next step where they actually will say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and choose what I want. They don't even need to do a Bass Pro Shop or a Cabela's or even Lululemon or whatever it might be. They can make a decision if they want to spend it on Amazon, a gas card, or whatever. So it works out really good. We're doing also digital cards. Now, remember when we were kids, Bob, we used to get like the punches when you walk into like a Dunkin' Donuts place and you would get like a dozen donuts every time you went in, you would get a punch. we're
Yep.
actually doing that now on the digital side. So a digital kind of a loyalty program. So to the point where I'm actually setting up brochures for the Chamber of Commerce because, I cut a lot of ribbons and we're going out and talking about that. So anything digital that helps the customer and the clients, meaning the vendors or the actual company, get a grip on their customer loyalty base. And that's
Yeah,
what we're working on.
there was a trend for a while, and I mean it was a hot trend, and it seems to have cooled down a little bit, but maybe that's my perception of called gamification. And gamification is one of those things that, particularly in call centers,
Yes,
if a call center agent showed up 6 days in a row, they got 2 points, and
that's right.
the end of a month or 2 months or however long they wanted to hold on to that, those points, they could then shop a catalog and get everything from a clock radio to a bicycle.
Yes,
Uh,
in fact, the Clusa's reward program does a great job on that. We actually, it was funny, we had this thing going for 8 to 10 years early when it comes to setting up where people can save for Beats headsets and bicycles and all kinds. But really, it retains the employee to lock into their position, and then it strives them into getting those results, which is either the come to work on time, the KPIs, or the quality side. You bring those three together and they generate points. What happened, Bob, during COVID, as you can imagine, is people were working from home and we didn't have, you remember, you and I have always loved the call center because you always had the Vive and you had the spinning wheels and you had the marquee boards and they were having contests all the time and so on. Once they kind of
the
went
bell
to,
every time a sale got made.
yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden they start working from home and they lost that camaraderie piece. And what we try to do from Calusa's side is we try to drive the point side of it in a way we can to kind of actually have a nice foundation of a reward. And like I said, just coming to work on time is amazing. They get points just to sign in on time. Whenever that happens, I don't know. Hitting
Yeah,
results, yeah, hitting results and
it-
quality are another thing, right, Bob? But just coming to work on time to get points. So.
well, yeah, I mean, but I mean that's the first rule. First rule in a call center: make the show. Be there. I have a guy that was probably 40 years ago, and I had a call center of my own where he came in and said, "Hey, Bob, I left the lights on in my car,
Hmm.
and I still have his paycheck hanging above my commode at home."
It never came back.
Came back,
Oh,
which
jeez. Yeah.
problematic. But I would also say that that the whole COVID thing, Tom, in the call centers was about you know a lot of because we still maintain a heavy presence in the consulting side, and we moved a lot of people from the brick and mortar on site to remote location, and because thank goodness technology allowed that. So Noble Systems at the time, 5.9, Genesis, all those guys, it was not hard to do. But interestingly enough, some of those clients were the same people that said remote call center over my dead body. And so and now those same people are the ones that have those remote locations, and they need to be convinced that they need to get those people back into a call center for the same reason you and I just talked about. It's the hum of the room that makes the thing productive. It's the
Absolutely.
community.
Yeah. And like I said, the Clusa marketing thing has been great because of all those things. And then Suma came into play because Robert Stidham, who's one of the prominent franchise kind of fixers in the industry when it comes to franchise ors, got to a point where he was looking for a CX customer service experience guy to be attached a little bit to drive the way to get employees pumped up a little bit and get them incented. And it goes with even now you take all the things we just talked about and drive it into the retail world, the restaurant world, the housekeeping world, the at-home nursing world, and see if you can incent them that way. So that's how Suma came involved. And then you met Drea a couple of times. In fact, Drea wanted me to give you a nice compliment. She said it was her first, because of BobCast, that was her first live event she's ever done. And you've helped her with that when Rocca Marketing was somewhat birthed. And Ruby Mango Marketing came out of that from more of gotten to the point where you find out what the needs are and what is the most profitable piece of marketing. And Bob, everybody wants everything for free from marketing side. Every time or I'm sure you put together programs at Mobius where everybody's like, okay, and then we charge for that. Well, that's what happened with Ruby Mango. We get to a point where content marketing and social media support There is a value to that, and it costs to do business like that, and that's what that has done. Now it has evolved into a way of understanding how to make profit in that industry, and
Yeah,
that
I had to
yes,
learn that one down the hard way with people
mm,
that walk in and um, uh, four words that don't go well together with me are I have an idea. Um, because typically if they bring the idea to me, they can't pull it off. If you bring me an idea that you could pull off, I'm all in.
yes,
I mean, because typically that would mean then that somebody's expecting me to write that first check. So I can see where Rocca Marketing and Ruby Mango fits that gap, fits that need, because I know you get approached. Oh, you're a visible guy, man. You're all over the world pitching your wares, and I would imagine as a subject matter expert, you get a knock on the door regularly, as do I. I just
yeah.
found a better way to say no, and that is to say yes, and it depends on how many zeros are going to be on the left side of the decimal.
Well, I think as people watch Bobcast, they understand too that you and I have been in the industry for a while. We're trying to find the best way to get to, that funnel of starting to find out all the fluff, and then you start to find out how I can really support and help, and then the value that kind of leads out the back end, where our clients are just like, wow, they're amazed at the ROI they get back from that. And for me to produce ROI, I have to give them the top product out there. And we get that from the days of my friend Tim Searcy. I always think about him, Bob, how you and I all met and how all the things we've done with the American Telemarketing Association into PACE, and then the new associations that you're coming up with now with all the value of that. I mean, it's such great stuff out there, and I'm just happy to be a part of your world and going forward with all this stuff. It's amazing, you know?
Well, we've collaborated on a lot of stuff over the years, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, and what I also enjoy about a relationship with Tom Rocca is that where you go, we go, and where we go, you go. We're quick to say, hey, Tom, here's a group, here's an association that you might take a look at. There's some value, potentially value for any one of your three or all three of your groups. The latest one was the healthcare marketing group, Shishmed,
Yes. Yes.
for the and that's those are the people, the marketing people inside healthcare, particularly hospitals, that really are the ones that determine incentives and incentive cycles and communication cycles and what's going to work for their employees. And because of your knowledge that you share with us in the ECAC, you know what they can do from a compliance standpoint.
Exactly.
I mean,
The ECAC is going to be
can't just give
important.
stuff away.
No,
I'm
what
sorry.
you've and what way you've set up the ECAC is so important because that's big things that are going to actually fall into line on the compliance side and the guidance of making sure you're doing things correctly and right. And that's the big piece. When it comes to some of the other groups and associations, even ARDA, and we could bring that up too. I mean, you just talked about healthcare, which is one side, which is me helping out a little bit about helping the healthcare industry, make sure the employees are getting a incentive plan that takes them and motivates them forward for good customer experience. Where healthcare is, we call it, instead of CX, we call it PX, which is patient experience. Now all of a sudden you slide over to back to what we just said for ARDA, and you get the resort development folks. That's back to hospitality. You and I've been in that industry forever and ever. It's also very important. You've done some great stuff with Mobius on the survey side. I've done some stuff on the incenting and the gift card side, if not travel certifications, to enhance them to get some benefit when it comes to people at the resorts. So all those things we're really wrapped into a whole bunch, and I appreciate you being a partner as I go forward with a lot of these things. So
Oh, you're welcome. And and just to kind of finish off on the whole compliance thing,
yes,
the privacy is what's going to continue to rear its head. And much like if you remember the do not call, the TCPA, where the call
very much
center,
so. By the way, as you know, 2003, you were with me there when we went to George W. Bush signed that into a do not call list. Yeah,
yeah, if you'd have told me that a Republican president would have signed that bill in the Rose Garden, I'd have thought restricting a $60 billion industry. It's like, but that jurisdiction bill passed Congress quicker than a pay raise. I mean, that,
mm,
the TCPA. But then kind of moving now to where we're going into the privacy stuff, where we face that GDPR coming out of the EU, the General Data Protection Act. Then it spread to the CCPA, which is the California Protection Act. Well, if you're in our business and you thought that your privacy stuff was going to be fine if you just were able to tweak your software, tweak your hardware, tweak your marketing to fit those two privacy, because they're pretty onerous, those two privacy regulations, you're wrong, because there are now 16 states that have them. So the death by paper cuts is starting to happen again, this time through privacy. There are 16 states with privacy laws that, whether you're involved in healthcare or you're not involved with healthcare, you still have to understand that if you're going to offer incentives to employees, for example, you better be careful about how you offer those things and how you roll that stuff out to your employees and how you message it, because there's all kinds of regulations that you could fall into if you're not careful about it, which is, which is which is from my standpoint and the ECAC, which is a good thing that we're keeping track of that
Yeah,
and having you along with us.
no, and you and I've seen how the value of how that brings and how that goes forward at this point. I mean, I was just thinking when you were talking too, I remember the days when we were working Capitol Hill in the very beginning. I think it's even 2001, 2002, probably way before that. Obviously, you and I actually lobbied on Capitol Hill when lobbyists was a thing to do, and it was a way to basically shake hands and get things done. But I started off in, working with the Northern California days with Boxer Feinstein and that group out there. Then I started going to Colorado and spent time there, moved over to Georgia, and now I'm in Florida. Here I'm sitting in Florida. So that's a little bit the journey that you've seen me go on, and just moving around the United States looking for the next thing. And as people are probably even watching our little cover slide there, I made this thing called the U.S. Shuffleboard Team, and how that all happened was someone asked me to play shuffleboard one day, and before you know it, I'm over there, playing on in a league, and then all of a sudden in a tournament or two, and then someone selected me to be on the U.S. team. So it's funny. We're going to Germany in September. So these are cool things that are kind of all of a sudden developed, and not only business but the balance of life of having a hobby. I never knew that golf would not have been my thing. Shuffleboard must be the thing.
Yeah, well, when I see your pictures on Facebook of you playing shuffleboard and
Uh,
you're wearing shorts, and I look at your legs, and I can tell you're not golfing because
oh, Bob, that's funny.
they're bright white.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's jump to, as you know, Tom, that a big part of our culture here at Mobius, and I know a
Yes.
big part of yours, is giving back. And giving back is something that, like, we're always looking to give back. And as soon as I can move this screen, I will. Hang on there, buddy. There we go.
Hey, there you go. Well, people will be proud of this one, but yeah, a little
Yeah, and
story of, yeah,
I
please.
I always I always contribute $50 to every charity of choice for our guests, and I've already put $50 in today. I've given money to Susan Komen in the past. That's a good
Sure.
organization. Um, they got in some political trouble several years ago, but they've really straightened it around, and they're a great charity. You have a personal experience and why this is your charity of choice. You want to start there?
Yeah, and it's funny because even when I go to sporting events nowadays, and they always have you the week here and the cancer type of support in the NFL, or maybe at a basketball or a hockey game, they give you those little signs. I always been putting my mom up there, and in the early '80s, I lost my mom in 1984, and she was only 47 years old, and to have her go through that was just terrible at the time, which then turned into a brain tumor. But breast cancer was something that it was a new thing at the time in Buffalo, New York. Roswell Institute, phenomenal cancer hospital in that area, was still trying to figure things out. And I support it because of that reasons. At that time, it was new. They didn't know really what to do when it came to sending people down the right path for all that. And that's kind of what started happening. And I just got so involved in it, and to the point where Susan G. Komen events, especially when it comes to some of the things I've done, the walks, I've done a number of different things. I've been on teams and all types of things. And I think it's just important, and I want to keep contributing and be a part of that for years to come. My sister, obviously, I keep an eye on her. I have two daughters, And I think it's just important that people do get all the testing and do all the right things. And Bob, you and I do that as males, as we do with different things that we do with our physicals and so on. And the same thing happens with the ladies. So I think it's so important, and it's a great cause, and it just stays a part of my life. And I contribute every time. Every time there's a Susan G. Komen event, I am usually there. I will make the time. So
Well, they've been around for a very long time, and
yes,
as
absolutely.
and as you hate to say that cancer evolves, but it does evolve, and it changes with the cures.
Yes,
So a cure comes along, and then there's again that word morph into a different into a different strain, different whatever. In my particular case, it was a sarcoma, and with a sarcoma, they had that they could operate, they could take it out because it attaches to the tissue, and they then did radiation. Well, in order to make sure it was all gone, they had to radiate part of my lung. And
yes,
so it wasn't just about the sarcoma, it was making sure it didn't go anywhere. And with breast cancer today, there's so many different treatments, so many different ways that the diagnosis is the easy part. The hard part is figuring out the cocktail and what's gonna be the cure. And Komen funds a lot of that. I know that on GuideStar, Komen has a very high rating as a charity. So
yes.
they don't
And
spend
the
a
and the,
lot
and
of
the, and
money.
the, and the pre-testing thing obviously is so important, and it happens. Males need to be tested as well in a lot of cases, in every which way. So it's just another thing to make sure people are being proactive at, and not just waiting for something not to be tested or looked at. I mean, I go in my physicals now, and I'm ready to have everything done, full panels, everything. I want to make sure that I'm getting really looked at from all angles, as they say.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. And it's what you bring up a very interesting point that a lot of us just don't even think about. That is male breast cancer.
Yes.
It's not as prominent, but it's out there
Yeah.
because we don't really talk about it, and we should.
Absolutely.
So, what do you have to add to that, buddy?
Oh, just please take a look at, like I said, please, if you can contribute to that group, it'd be great. They got a great research group, and that's really the big piece on that. So it fits my heart there, and like I said, just to help and to be aware and to be a part of something, and choose a charity that can make a difference. That's one thing I like about the Bobcast. You always have that, and you will stop a little bit and take the time to take a breath and see how we can help also things that are around us. So I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, what it says at the top, sharing is caring, and we have a place on our website where we list where a lot of our clients are contributing their money too. So, we're believers. We're believers. So to put a little bow on this thing,
Yes.
what we have are ways to contact Mr. Rocca.
Oh, look at that. That sits out nice. Yeah,
QR codes, QR codes and all.
yeah, and I appreciate the LinkedIn piece. LinkedIn's been a big thing for a lot of us, Bob, especially for us guys who have been around a bit. I mean, I use it to not only I mean, globally is really my probably best way of saying it. So I appreciate that. My LinkedIn is pretty stacked. A lot of us have between 8 to 15,000 names each nowadays, and it's important that you can get your contacts. And some of these people I've met over speaking engagements. As you know, you and I speak in front of people, and you and I've been up in crowds. And goodness, I can think of a couple of times you and I've been up there on the stage together, over with it, especially at Artas and some of the other conferences out there. On the Calusa side, thank you for popping that up there. That's our pretty much a way to get to our website. We have a number of different ways. We're always enhancing that. Evan here at Calusa does a great job of updating our website and keeping it current with our products. On the Suma side, I appreciate that as well. That's a little bit more about business repair, bankruptcy support, and so on. And that's some of the things that come out of that one. And then, of course, Alexandria works hard on Rocca Marketing and Ruby Mango now, and you're going to see some more on that as we kind of come into the next piece. But right now, it's coming off of LinkedIn, and it's being developed, and it's kind of been birthed in 2025. So we're excited to kind of introduce that. So thanks for popping those up there. I appreciate it.
Well, I will tell you that that a point you made earlier. I actually had the opportunity to work with Drea on a cool project where a guy that works with us in our employee experience program climbed Kilimanjaro, and
That's
Drea
yeah.
also climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So I was able to put those two together, and they actually did a kind of a diary, a LinkedIn/Facebook diary of each step that Mike was taking to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and it was reinforced by Drea's personal experience. So that was a real cool use of two people, one marketing campaign.
Yeah. And she actually is so proud of that segment you did with her too, to the point where you kind of listen every time the anniversary of her climbing to Mount Kilimanjaro is something that we actually don't have too much other than the pictures, but she has her certificate, but we also get to listen to the Bobcast that she did. And that was an important time for her because it was the first time someone really asked her about the journey and was helping out someone that was ready to go on it. So that was just a great segment. So thank you for doing that.
And
Appreciate
that was a
that.
lot of fun. I'll have to put that. I'm going to bring that one back up, and we'll repost that on our LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Thank
Probably,
you.
yeah. And this one will show a week from Thursday, which I don't know what that date is, but it'll be posted in several different places, including your own LinkedIn. So as soon as we get this recording done, we'll get it tweaked up and edited and send it to you
Yeah,
for.
we'll already be in the March, huh? Holy smokes.
We're gonna be in the March, and
Yeah,
Arda's right around the corner, and Shushman's right around the corner, and I mean, we're getting into trade show hell here, buddy.
that's it. I always say that always March, April, May, and then we go back into it for a little bit of a hiatus, and then we pop back into September, October, and kind of right into Thanksgiving. So here's another
Yep.
year for us. So I
Yep.
appreciate being a part of my year. Thank you.